Can an 8th round selection catch 90 balls this season? What's the best team structure for FFPC best ball leagues? And we play a Yaman or 9 with the new look Dallas Cowboys. Plus the former multiple FFPC main event league winner and Pros vs. Joe's drafter Brad Pinkstaff hangs out to discuss his favorite rookie running backs, whether youth or experience is better when it comes to a tough tight end call this year, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour starts now.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thanks a lot, Rob, and greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzakin addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I am, of course, your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football. Back in the studio this week, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, who is the goal line back in New England? Should you be selecting Alshon Jeffrey over Brandon Cooks? And two-time FFPC main event league champ Brad Pinkstaff drops in to talk 2018 Pros vs. Joe's strategy and a bunch more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions for us you might have in there if you want to connect with us on Twitter. The show is at HSFF Hour. I am at Eric Balkman. Dave is at David Gerzak. Facebook.com/HSFF Hour is where to reach us there. And of course, 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. You can also email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. All the chat room questions, tweets, and emails will come back. We'll bring those up in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show, thanks to our producer and mutual friend Rob and our audio engineer Bryce. Want to remind everybody, if you have not checked out rotoviz.com/podcast, what's wrong with you? There's a new one up there today. It is called 10 Foot Pole, and it is with yours truly and Ryan Thurlow, a guy who has won tens of thousands of dollars in the last couple of years alone in the FFPC. He's had a lot of success. He tells you how he's done it, what his outlook is on a lot of players this year, some eye-opening stuff in that. It's a little bit of an extended one, too. We almost made it 50 minutes on that one. Normally those are like 25, 30 minutes, but there's a lot of good stuff from Ryan Thurlow. Check that out at rotoviz.com/podcast. Football Guys drafts are filling daily. MyFFPC.com/football guys. $2.1 million in the prize pool this year, and I will be commissioning a midnight draft tonight if you wanted to jump in and fill that. At last check before the show started, Dizzle, we were at 6 teams left. I'm not sure if we still are at 6 teams.
Down to 6.
Down to 6, okay.
Oh, wait, that's where we're at.
Well, still.
Still at 6.
Still at 6. We'll take it. We got a couple hours to fill that one. Room discounts at Planet Hollywood, $10 Week 1 NFL viewing. For more information on that, myffpc.com. And, of course, best ball draft starting at $35 on up. Dynasty startups available all throughout July. FFPC, your home for season-long fantasy football, myffpc.com. Dave, how was the vacation? Or it was vacation / college hunting? I mean, it was business and pleasure, essentially, this last week.
Yeah, my daughter had a school whatever thing that she did, and then we went to Disney World after that. It was great.
Good to see that.
I rode the Slinky Dog ride. It's very nice.
At
lovely.
Disney World?
Yeah.
Or was this at the college you were touring?
No, not the college.
Oh,
it was
okay.
At the wonderful Hollywood Studios.
Oh, fantastic.
Well worth $120. Yeah, Disney University.
Yeah, Disney University. That was my safety school.
I want to go to the Cornell School of Hotel Management, and then you can be a Disney executive.
Very true. Let's get into tonight's guest here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to keep him waiting any longer. He is an 8-year veteran of the FFPC and a 2-time main event league champ. He's also had multiple cashes in both the world-famous FFPC Playoff Challenge and the Best Ball Leagues over at the FFPC as well. He creates his own fantasy rankings, doesn't read any books or use software, and he'll be showing off those talents in the 2018 FFPC Pros vs. Joes competition later this month with his brother Todd Musgrave. Before that, he joins the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour tonight. Please welcome into the show Mr. Brad Pinkstaff. Brad, thanks for coming on the show tonight, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be selected by
Brad,
in the Pros versus Joes as well.
How exciting is that? I mean, going up against, well, we'll get into who you're going up against because it's going to be a tough division. But you and Todd had to be pumped when you saw that.
Did you call it a division?
Well, it's a league division, whatever.
It's fine. You're just getting a little feral on me.
Is that? Do we
yeah.
not call them divisions?
We call them leagues. Well,
I mean, call them leagues?
Whatever.
Okay.
What do you think, Brad? You call them leagues?
Are they? Is it a league or is it a division in
league.
Pros versus Joes? Okay, it's a league.
I'm
outvoted.
Soda or pop?
It's definitely soda. So listen, Brad, you had to be super excited when you saw that you and Todd were selected in that.
You know, when we finally got the email, we thought it was a joke because we've been playing for so long and never been selected. And to finally be selected, we thought somebody was playing a trick on us at first. So we're super stoked, looking forward to it.
We'll get into that strategy and your best ball analysis and how you guys are going to approach that in a little bit. But before we do that, tell the listeners what you do for a living.
So I'm a chemical engineer. I work in the oil and gas industry. I manage the operations for a private mid-sized oil and gas services company based in Houston.
Interesting. Okay, so let me ask you a question. I always have these stupid questions, so here's one.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of it? I mean, I assume you had some bias one way or the other about whatever, but the Deepwater Horizon movie, did you think it was a good movie? Did you actually, I mean, was it realistic? Were you like, you know what I mean? You know, I mean, not that you're doing like Deepwater rigs or anything necessarily, but what did you think of it?
Well, when I started off, I spent a lot of times on the rig, so it was a very realistic movie. Very, very well done.
Yeah, I thought so too. Actually, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'd be scared shitless, to be honest with you.
Should have got more Oscar buzz. I know that, you know.
Marky Mark's always good, buddy.
Yeah, deep in the heart of West Texas, it was they played big down there, but for whatever reason, just could not capture.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
See, so shut up. You didn't even read Wikipedia.
Didn't look it up.
Didn't even wiki it.
The only knowledge I have on it is, well, Wahlberg's in it. It's obviously got to be good. Is the trailer? I did see the trailer. I enjoyed that 2 minutes. Just have not gotten around to it.
Wahlberg does a lot of movies like that. He did the movie with the boat that ended up capsizing.
Oh yeah. What was that one? Perfect Storm.
Yeah.
Perfect Storm.
A little bit better outcome for Wahlberg in this movie.
Thank God.
You should have seen it.
Totally rooting for that guy. He needs a break to come his way.
All right. Wahlberg is Vegas golf. You should go. All right. Sorry, Brad. We're just going to keep you out. So, congrats on being selected to draft in Pros versus Joes. When you and Todd found out you would be in the contest, have you talked strategy at all on the best way to attack the 28-round best ball league?
No, we hadn't talked strategy yet. Old Muskie would forget everything we talked about here in the time.
Old Muskie, I love it.
Yeah, so he's got a different approach than I do. We'll probably get together and argue the day of and make our decisions there. But you know, the thought is there on the best ball, which he's never played before. I will definitely take some flyers on some guys that aren't necessarily consistent. You know, guys like Kenny Stills, Marvin Jones, guys that can put up a lot of points per game that won't do it consistently. And I'll definitely fill every position with three players.
Yeah, I think that's a smart strategy. In fact, we're going to get into more. We have an email this week about team structure and best balls and what's the best way to do it. But I think like at a minimum, having at least three players at each position, I think is just smart roster management. And so I think you are on the right track there. And clearly, you know what you're doing. I mean, 2 main event FFPC titles already on your resume. As you look to finish even higher on the overall leaderboard than you ever have before this year, Brad, what do you think the biggest thing that you've learned or the most important thing you've learned from both your previous success and previous shortcomings in the main event that's really taught you how to ascend to that next level? What do you think has been the biggest takeaway in your 8-year high-stakes career?
Yeah, I'm going to continue the course with my strategy there. The one thing that I've started to do the last couple of years is it's very important to have guys, kickers, defenses that score in the top 3, right? So I tend to take a kicker a little bit earlier than usual and take defenses a little bit earlier than usual as well. If you go and look at the stats over the last couple of years, the difference between a top-ranked defense and an average defense is roughly 50 points, and a kicker is roughly 30 points. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to win the league, right, ultimately. Everything else after that is somewhat gravy, but 50 points may get you in the playoffs, definitely based on how heavily the points are weighted in the leagues. One of the other things that I look for early on in the years, I watch snap counts, trying to find guys that are picking up more playing time that may necessarily not be scoring the fantasy points, but have the potential to be there toward the end, right? Because as you all know, those last couple of weeks are kind of tricky based on playoff positions and injuries, and a lot of times you find guys that come out of nowhere to score big points. And most of the teams that make it through for those final 3 weeks, a lot of them are composed of the same guys. So having some wild card guys, I think, really would differentiate you in winning the big show.
A couple of things to highlight there. I have seen, I commission a lot of these online leagues. I have seen defenses going a little bit earlier than, especially the Jacksonville defense. People are starting to get a little crazy with that, but I have seen them go earlier than I have in years past. So I think that there is something to be gained from that. When especially when we're drafting now, at the time when there's not a ton of information out there, sometimes the way you get an advantage is loading up on your backs, receivers, and tight ends early, and then hoping that they stay healthy and you get a top-tier defense, a top 2 or top 3 defense to pair with that. That can be huge when it comes to be the championship sprint that starts in week 14 of the season. So I think you're definitely dead on there. That makes a lot of sense to take those defenses a little bit. I haven't really seen it with kickers as much, but I get what you're saying there too. I think that there is a certain amount that goes into that, Dave, to get that earlier defense. Did you have a point that you wanted to make? I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, mine is just a silly point. It reminds me of when we played in the Eddie League back in 2001, 2002.
The Ed Witterholt Milwaukee League.
It was a 10-teamer. Yeah. This is when we were such rookies.
Right.
And I think it was Bill had the last pick in the draft, and he's like, it's just a kicker. It doesn't matter. Give me the Browns kicker. And if I recall correctly, they were shut out.
Phil Dawson, they were shut out week 1 of that season.
Yeah, whatever team it was.
Put up a 0. I believe he lost by 2 or 3 points.
He probably cut the box.
I might be embellishing a little bit. He may have missed the playoffs by 1 game.
I don't know about that, but yeah, that was pretty funny.
So that
kickers matter, baby.
Kickers matter. Kicker lives matter. # kicker lives matter.
I hate to give away my special sauce, but kickers on average, based on the analytics that I've done, score about 30% or 30 points higher, whereas running backs and wide receivers doing the same analysis of roughly 20 points, right? So having that kicker, and of course you've got to hit, you've got to pick the right guys, but I think that the 10-point advantage over the season may dictate whether or not you make the playoffs.
So now we're going to go now we've talked about the dominating players, kickers. We're going to go to the lowly running backs.
People are they're whipped up to a frenzy. Let's calm them down with some rookie running back talk.
4th round running backs, we have Ronald Jones, whose starting quarterback is Ryan Harvard-educated Fitzpatrick.
Allegedly, could be Ryan Griffin. We don't know that yet.
Paired with Seamus Winston. And Tom Brady with Sony Michel. So which player is the smarter choice this year?
To me, that's pretty obvious, guys. The SEC has got about 1/3 of the backs that start in the NFL come out of the SEC. I think Michel's the obvious choice. I think the buzz that's around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now is they're just looking for anything positive. I don't even think Ronald Jones unseats Peyton Barber, who's a fellow SEC guy. Sonny Michel, for them to draft him in the 1st round is big, right? Belichick doesn't normally do something like that. I know that the talk is that, there's too many backs there and they spread the ball around, but this guy's an all-around back. He's averaged 7.9 yards per carry, which was the highest in the SEC last year, more than Bo Jackson averaged in his prime, which was 7.7. So I think this guy is legit. I think he's going to be one of the best backs in the league, and that offense is potent. Tampa Bay, I think you're going to see some stalls there. I don't think you're going to get as many goal line opportunities, and I don't even think he may be the guy. So I'm leaning towards Sonny Michel. Hopefully this podcast isn't recorded, and I have to eat my words at the end of the season.
Don't worry, we're not taping this at all.
Burn after reading. Yeah, well, it's no problem.
By the way, Sonny Michel is a two-packer approved, I was going to say.
Yeah, that's true. He is two-packer approved. And as long as we're talking about Sonny Michel, Kevin Williamson, Bourbon City Ballers, Dave, FFPC player, Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship player, Kevin Williamson, was in the chat room last week,
sure.
And he had a bunch of questions, and he wanted, one of them was, when are we going to start talking about ascendant candidates? And, it's still early July, but on the short list, I think this year, given that Sonny Michel is going at that end of the fourth-round price tag,
I think he is one.
He could be a candidate to rise up maybe to that late second-round, early third-round level, especially if he shows in preseason.
Yep.
So and now we're getting the Pinkstaff stamp of approval tonight on Sonny Michel as well. So I think it makes a lot of sense that we could see his value go up. We're talking with Brad Pinkstaff, the FFPC main event, two-time league champ, and drafting in Pros versus Joes with his brother Todd Musgrave. What you guys are drafting? I believe it is draft number 5. It's the Monday night one on the second week. I think.
What's the name, Balky?
I can look that up. I will look it up. Brad, is that correct?
Land of the Lost. That was last year, right?
No, this is Stranger Things. Stranger Things is the theme this year.
All right. So it's League 5.
I believe it is League. I'm going to look it up. Right now, I'm sorry, I'm vamping for time here.
The team name is the
Brad.
Pimp Shafts. Yeah, I was going to say the team name is the Pimp Shafts, a play on my last name.
Oh, there you go. I like it quite a bit. All right, I got it up here. Pros versus Joes. So first of all, Brad is actually going to be drafting on Monday, July 30th, like I said, and it is the Giant Walkie-Talkie League.
Okay.
So there you go. I don't watch Stranger Things, so you should know the Giant Walkie-Talkie from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
No? All right, perfect.
It's not that cool.
All right, well, whatever.
I mean, the show's cool.
Brad's going to make it cool. Or he'll make the league cool this year. You make your own draft rankings for drafts every year, Brad. I want to talk to you.
Where's your website?
How do you go into compiling the data that goes into these rankings and then sorting it out to make sure that you're giving yourself the best possible information?
Sure. I won't give you too much of the secret sauce, but everyone follows the books of the websites, which are roughly the same, right? Looking at ADP on where everyone's going to go, and that's how they make their decisions. I take a step back. One, I let Vegas help me a bit, right? I look at teams that are going to be good. I look at coaching changes, and I look at systems. I look at offensive coordinators. I look at head coaches. And then I look at the distribution of how they call a game, right? So if I'm looking for a guy that I need receptions, or in the PPR league, for instance, I know the way they play the game, and I try to fill those slots with the guys that I think are going to be in those positions to catch, the most balls. So I'm a big player on the system. I'm a big player on the coaches, and then I fit guys in that way, right? By doing that, I do look at the list, not for my own value, but I do that to see where guys are slated, to where I set my draft so I can find value and make sure I select the guys that I'm looking for before the others do.
All about getting your guys, Dave. That's what it comes down to. We hear it week in and week out, and this is,
we do.
You get your guys, you are setting yourself up for fantasy success.
At the end of the day, that's what I do, right? I look for the guys I want. I believe in my abilities in finding or assessing the guys, and that's what I do. And that's where my brother Todd kind of backs me off sometimes, because sometimes I get a little bit aggressive on who I want, and he'll tell me, hey, this guy's not being drafted for another couple rounds, back off, let's go with somebody else. So that's where we kind of balance ourselves off. He's more of a traditional type player.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right. Who do you think you are more likely to draft this season? Keenan Allen, who's missing Hunter Henry, Or Michael Thomas?
I wouldn't say he's missing him, Dave.
Who's Michael Thomas missing, Balky?
He might be missing Willie Snead, who took all that coverage away from him last year. Michael Thomas, I don't know if he's playing opposite Shaquan Smith
what's Fleener doing
Ted
now?
Gans. No, Fleener's actually still having some concussion symptoms. I don't think he's signed.
So he's missing Fleener.
Ben Watson will be back.
Yeah,
that's right.
That guy is amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, between Allen and Thomas, Brad, who are you leaning more towards?
I'm going with the guy that's on the better team. He's got the better quarterback, got the better coach, got the better fan base, and ultimately he's a better player, and that's Michael Thomas. Keenan Allen, he had a great year last year. He was hurt the previous 2 years. I don't see him replicating that year. Mike Williams will be back. Obviously they're down their tight end. They're going to be running a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. I don't see Keenan Allen replicating the same year he had last year. And, Michael Thomas coming in his 3rd year, he's a beast. One of my buddies is a trainer for the Saints and said he's in unbelievable shape this year, looks better than ever. And the fact that Todd and his partner for the other team that he has, Ed Vokey, those guys have season tickets. So it makes going with Michael Thomas pretty much the easy choice.
Michael Thomas also does not have a history of torn ACLs and ruptured spleens either, or ruptured kidneys, whatever it was with Keenan Allen.
Whatever, Balky.
I am just saying, who would you rather? Okay, let's put this to you in dynasty.
You know what? Actually,
who would you rather own in dynasty? You own Keenan Allen. If somebody's like, hey, do you want Michael Thomas? I'll trade him to you straight up for Keenan Allen. Who would you rather have?
I'm going to take Keenan Allen.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious. I respect Brad's opinion. I kind of like Keenan Allen better. Okay. I'm sorry about that. It's okay.
And I will say this.
They both have old quarter in dynasty questions.
Right, yeah. I will
what
say.
What does Brad think?
Well, who would you rather have, Brad, as far as dynasty goes? If you're going to own this guy for his career or whatever, who has more dynasty value, Keenan Allen or Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas for sure, 100%. You look at this year, Keenan's got the NFC West, which is going to be stacked with defense, right? Thomas has got the AFC North, which is a bit easier. I don't even think it's a comparison. I think Thomas, at the end of the year, is going to be a top 3 wide receiver.
Well, if you think that, then you're correct.
Yeah, I mean, he had to make some adjustments last year that when he lost Cooks, but I just don't see Keenan Allen doing it.
Yeah, and I'll say this too about Keenan Allen. Nobody really talks about that Chargers defense, but it got better again this year. I mean, they had Derwin James, first-round pick, who I think is going to be very, very good.
Oh, so they can intercept the ball and have a short field for Allen to catch short touchdowns.
Or rock Melvin Gordon, who's going to be running back. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Who is going to get Forrest Lamp back? I believe that's Forrest Lamp's team is the Chargers. Whatever first-round lineman they took last year, I know he had a big problem in the preseason, was out for the year, and now he's going to be back. They've improved that offensive line. So, I mean, maybe that takes away from Keenan Allen as well. I mean, again, you don't have Hunter Henry out there, then that's one less weapon out there in that passing game. Maybe they do ride Melvin Gordon. I don't know. I think that they're both in for fine seasons. He could. I mean, he very well could, although I don't think he will. But it's certainly possible, and these guys are going right next to each other in FFPC best ball drafts right now, too, which makes it very compelling. Let's get back to Pros versus Joes here. You and Todd it's a loaded Pros versus Joes league. Former league champs in the Pros versus Joes, Jared Smola, of course, former guest of the show from Draft Sharks, Brandon Marianne Lee from Her Fantasy Football. She won her league last year in the Pros versus Joes. And also drafting in this league, another former league champ and overall champ, Mike Beers, for Best Ball Command Center, is drafting right in front of you, in front of your spot. So you guys know you'll be picking at 10, right behind Beers, who's going to be at 9. Who are you hoping makes it to you at 10, or who are you targeting at 10? And then who would you be looking at maybe in the second round as, in a perfect scenario? Who would you be hoping for your second pick in that draft?
Well, we talked about the guy, Michael Thomas, so I won't talk about him much more. 2 other guys that I'd like to see in the first round would be DeAndre Hopkins. I think with Deshaun Watson coming back, a remodified offensive line, I can see DeAndre Hopkins having a huge year this year, as well as the rest of the Texans offense. And on the way back, Travis Kelce is one of the guys I'm very high on this year. I think he's probably going to be the top tight end. I think some of the other guys are going to drop off. I think there's going to be a significant gap between 1 and 2 on tight ends, and I think Kelce's the guy. And if I don't pick him up there, I think I'll lose. Definitely my shot at Kelce and Gronkowski, and maybe some others. So if Kelce slips back to us at 14, or I guess that would be 15, we'll probably pull the trigger there.
15, yep. Yeah, and you look at the ADP of these guys right now. Hopkins at the 108, so he may or may not make it to you. I have seen him get to the end of the first round too, so you might have a shot at him there. But yeah, I would think you have Travis Kelce going at the 204, Michael Thomas going at the 206. You should have your pick between those two guys. If you do skip over Kelce, you probably wouldn't. You would miss out on Zach Ertz as well, and then you'd be looking at like Greg Olsen, Jimmy Graham, Evan Engram, those type of players as your number one tight end. Should you use your next pick, your third or fourth round pick on them? And as long as we're talking about Graham and Engram, since they're going close to each other in draft, Brad, where do you fall in this? You have the up and coming Evan Engram, being drafted right around the same spot as the old hat Jimmy Graham, the grizzled veteran, who now gets a new quarterback in Aaron Rodgers this year. So if you are making the call and you decide you're going to go tight end, and it's down between Evan Engram and Jimmy Graham, which way are you going on that?
I'm going with youth. I'm going with the youth movement. One of the things to say about Green Bay is, they've had some guys that you thought would come in, and Jared Cook and some other guys that you thought would play well, but Green Bay consistently underperforms in the tight end position. I think that continues moving forward. But I think the game's moving to younger and younger players. With the Thursday night football moving all the way up to the front of the season. The older guys are on larger contracts. They're less hungry. They're less willing to play through injuries. These young guys, second, third, fourth year, working on that second contract is a huge motivator. I just think the game's changed, with an international approach, the physicality, the number of concussions, the number of injuries. I see it moving more and more toward youth, and I like New York's offense this year, right? Retooled with some new coaching and some new weapons, and I think Ingram fits in there well, and I'm going with Ingram.
I am leaning more towards drafting younger guys. By and large, I've been drafting more. Dave, you've seen me at my drafts over the years. I draft a ton of old guys. I always have.
Yeah, you're starting to like the younger guys. I'm starting
to like younger guys more.
You like the gay bars too, young guys are a little bit handsomer.
I don't know about all that, but listen to me. You're celebrating when Brad's talking
Bears.
about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dave's a big Bears fan for sure.
That's hilarious. That's really funny.
You were celebrating when Brad said, the Packers tight ends, they underperform. I'm not sure about Jimmy Graham coming in and doing what a lot of people expect him to do. You're celebrating that. You realize you and I have a bet on Jimmy Graham this season, and you are not on the downside of Jimmy Graham.
I know. I'm taking the upside.
But then why were you happy about what a seasoned FFPC champion is saying?
Well, I'm enjoying his commentary. I agree with that.
All right. Well, let's enjoy some more.
My joke was funny. He made a funnier joke.
Go ahead, Brad.
I hate to go against Jimmy Graham because I'm a Saints fan, right? And he was fantastic for the Saints. But the guy, he doesn't block. If he would learn to block, I don't know. I don't think he's going to fly in that system. I think there's going to be some tension there. I just don't think he's going to perform the way everyone thinks he's going to.
I am with you 100%.
There always is a risk when you go to a new team, new system.
Especially
Graham sucked for Seattle that first year. He was terrible.
Yeah. Honestly, he kind of sucked for the first part of the season last year, too. I mean, he kind of came out on
I'm a big systems guy.
Yeah, seriously, I'll probably get Jimmy Graham on one or two teams this year, but I don't, just to kind of the hashtag FOMO. But I think that for the most part, I'm staying away, and I would go with a different tight end.
That's like a football guy's comment right there.
What?
That's like a waffling comment.
Okay.
I'll give him a couple teams.
Gun to my head, I probably won't draft him at all.
There you go.
All right.
I love it, Bucky.
There you go.
Much more Jim Rome.
All right, we are not bringing Jim Rome on this show.
Go,
oh, gosh. Ted in Arvada, Colorado, leads off our emails for Brad tonight. He writes, "Hi, Brad. Will Fuller's fantasy value was really tied to his touchdowns last year, but with a full year of Deshaun Watson, is he a top 25 receiver this season? Give him hell in Pros versus Joes." That's Ted in Arvada, Colorado. Right now, Will Fuller being drafted as the number 34 receiver in FFPC draft. So 25, kind of a stretch. What are your thoughts on what Fuller can do this year with Watson thrown to him potentially for a full season?
He's one of those guys that he's boom or bust, right? He's a deep threat for the Texans. You know, the Texans signed Kiki QT, who they're talking a lot about in the slot, which should open up some single coverage for Fuller. With Deshaun Watson, I mean, that offense was explosive, highest scoring offense in the league. You know, Brian Gain has come in, done some magic on the offensive line, which he's done in Buffalo. I can see Fuller having a fantastic year, but I think you're gonna miss a couple of weeks, with some low scoring weeks. But he's one of those guys in the Draft Experts League or the Best Ball League that I'll be looking at, and he's one of the guys that I'll be looking at to try to make a run to the overall championship.
See, I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I actually think it's going to be more like he'll have like 4 good weeks and then like 12 weeks where he's going to be like 2 for 20 and just not quite getting there. Like, I think he's like a poor man's Deshaun Watson or just Deshaun Jackson in his prime.
That could be, and he's going in the 9th round of FFPC.
I think that's early.
That's a fine value.
I
don't think that's early for Will Fuller.
Oh, really?
No.
I'll bet. You want to bet?
I mean, there's no way to quantify it.
Wide receiver 34 or lower. I'll take 34 or lower.
Okay, I'll take 34 or higher for Will Fuller.
34 is a push, Falky. Here we go.
34 is a push. All right, I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on it. All right, Brad, you're witness to that.
Brad's a witness. All right, so that's Will Fuller. I have to hit the stop. You should see the W I just made. It's really ridiculous. Okay, let's get to our next question for Brad here. This is from Carl in Lexington, Georgia. What's up, Brad? Would you take Ezekiel Elliott at number 3 overall in drafts this year? If not, who do you like better at that spot, assuming Gurley and Bell are gone? Thanks for the email. Carl in Lexington, Georgia. What are your thoughts on Elliott being a number 3 overall pick? Is he your choice there, or do you like somebody else better, Brad?
For sure. I love Elliott there. I think Bell, with everything that's going on, may slide back. Elliott's consistent. That offensive line is unreal. They're going to pound the ball. I don't think you can go wrong taking Elliott at number 3. But yeah, I would probably take Antonio Brown at number 3 if he's available.
Okay. So Brown, you know what's weird is like, Dave, when's the last time you see Brown go this late in drafts? It might have been like his rookie year, you know, honestly. No, honestly, I can't remember the last.
By the way, he wasn't even good for like 3 years.
Okay, well then it was probably his 3rd year.
Right after his break.
The 106 right now is where he's going, and he's always essentially been in like the top 3 for the last 4 years, it seems like, in the FFPC. So you really can't go wrong with Antonio Brown. We also can't go wrong with Brad Pinkstaff, and I want to ask him one more question, but I'm going to let Dave do it.
All right, here we go. Who is a player? All right, we're asking for some of your secret sauce here.
Yeah, not that we appreciate the sauce you've given thus far.
Actually, we want the just the sauce. We don't want the recipe.
Side of sauce.
Hey, the Bears love
the
sauce.
Yeah. Oh boy, so this show, it's turning into something else in and of itself. Jim Rome and Bears and secret sauce.
Like Zeb Cap and those guys are going to love this show.
Yeah, Zeb Cap is probably it's an all-timer. This week's episode was an all-timer.
Who is a guy? These questions too. You're like, who's a guy you'll be staying away from, Brad?
Yeah.
In the first couple rounds this year.
Exactly.
Drinks. And who's the guy you think you'll be targeting in the mid to late rounds this season?
Good question. One
Thank you very much.
I'll stay away from for sure is David Johnson. Bruce Arians not being there. It goes back to the systems and the coaches. Arizona getting a new coach with Steve Wilkes, defensive-minded, bringing in Mike McCoy for offensive coordinator. The guy hasn't produced much of a running game in the last couple of years, being Mike McCoy. David Johnson's a great back, but I will not be looking at him in the early rounds. I think he's going fairly high from what I looked at here earlier today. One other guy is Gronkowski. He's done well the last couple seasons, but the fact that his heart may not be in it 100%, I can't risk a first or second round pick on a guy that may not be there, 100%.
No on DJ, no on Veronica.
What's that?
Just write it down. I'm just writing it down, buddy. All good. Go ahead.
I was going to say late rounds. I think either one of the Houston running backs, whichever guy gets the job, with Deshaun Watson's going to open up some potential for those guys. I think the offensive line is improved. Both of them are talented backs. I think the offense is going to tick. Bill O'Brien loves to run the ball, loves ball control, game control. So either one of those two guys in the late rounds, I like. The other guy I like that everyone probably is going to shout and scream is Eli Manning this year. He's out of a system that he didn't like. He's got some weapons. He's got Odell back. He's got first round running back who's elite. I can see him having a bounce back year. Do I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback? No. But do I think there's some value there late? Of course. And then the last flyer is Sammy Watkins with Mahomes. Supposedly he's got a cannon of an arm. He's got Tyreek Hill on the other side. I think Mahomes will make some bad decisions and throw balls up, which I think Sammy can go and get. He's kind of a sneak pick that I'm keeping my eye on this year as well. I think Andy Reid will rein him in and get him dialed in. And he's only 25 years old, so the guy's very talented. So I'm keeping my eye on him later in the draft as well.
I love that Mahomes pick. I bet $50 on the Chiefs at 35 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. So if Mahomes goes off as a rookie, second year guy.
They still need to play
good value.
Whatever, man. Yeah, I think it's pretty good value. I mean, they're definitely a playoff caliber team. So
they just need 3 difference makers on defense. That's all they need. Just 3 of them. Great stuff for sure. I think Watkins is, as we're getting closer and closer to to the main events, which are essentially 2 months away right now. He has become a compelling and a very interesting guy that I think people really haven't put their finger on yet. Watkins' ADP in best balls right now in the FFPC is 703. He's gone as high as the mid-5th and as late as the end of the 8th. So his variance is still kind of all over there, and I think that's a name worth tracking as we get deeper into the season. One of the things that we look forward to when we get deeper into the drafting season is the Pros versus Joes League. And Brad, we will be watching what you and Todd will be doing on Monday, July 30th, right here on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. That's at 9/8 Central. We'll be covering that draft live. You will be in the 10th spot, right in between Mike Beers from Best Ball Command Center and Jason Moore from the Fantasy Footballers will also be in that draft. Brandon Marion Lee, John Paulson, Matt Kelly from Player Profiler, Jared Smola, the other pros. And then I'll bring this up too. Danny Miller and Jeremy Roach, 2 of the better FFPC Joe best ballers, will be in this draft as well. Definitely giving you guys a run for your money. I think you guys are going to have a great draft, and we will be definitely watching it. Thanks so much for coming on the show this week. Best of luck to you, not only in Pros vs. Joes, but in all your leagues this year, and especially the main event. Hopefully you guys have a big 2018. Thanks so much for coming on, Brad. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. We look forward to it, and I just wanted to give a big shout-out to Chris Lambert. Todd and I are super impressed with the way she responds and handles business, and she's fantastic. She makes the league above and beyond. So hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for having me on.
You bet, Brad. We'll definitely pass that along to Chris as well, for sure. She is the best. Brad Pinkstaff, 2-time FFPC main event league champ, Pros vs. Joes draft.
People from down south are just so much nicer.
So positive, too.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Not like us.
No.
Jaded.
Negative Nellies up here in northeast Wisconsin. How about that draft, though, this Pros vs. Joes league? Smola, Kelly, Paulson, Brandon Marianne Lee, Mike Beers, Jason Moore, and then you throw in Todd Musgrave, Brad Pinkstaff, Danny Miller, Jeremy Roach.
Who are the other?
Other Joes?
Yeah.
Brent Weaver, Matthew Korn are in that league. Sean Olander and Norm Kanapski and Scott Van Sickles.
Yeah, nice.
Team. So very, very.
That's awesome.
The other thing too is you look at this. That will be the 5th draft that we've done. So there will be 4, leagues before this. So
we won't be totally burnt out, but close.
Value will be tough to come by. Can I give you a bulky hot take before we get into the fantasy?
Go right ahead. By the way,
fantasy flash?
Let me just reiterate the Deepwater Horizon. Pretty good movie.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we were talking about who he would take at number 3, who Brad would take, and Elliot said he'd be a fine choice. He'd probably take Brown there. I was thinking about this. What would I do if I was in the 3 spot?
WWBD.
Jared Smola had a great blurb about David Johnson. We want to believe that David Johnson is going to come back and be this upper echelon running back. And he might. It was like a wrist injury that he was recovering from. That's not like a lower leg thing where you get super, super concerned. When he had that bomb season where he just went crazy.
Who? David Johnson?
David Johnson, not Jared Smola.
For 1 year?
Yeah. That team was like a top 10. It was like, I can't remember this. I'm going to butcher this. Check out Smola's Twitter feed.
Yeah, they were in the top third of teams.
Even higher than that. They were like the number 9 offense. They were like number 6 in points or something insane.
Top 25%.
With Carson Palmer there was quarterback. And now you look at it's either going to be Sam Bradford or Josh Rosen.
They're fine.
I'm less sold on David Johnson as I was 2 weeks ago. Okay, so I don't think I would take him at 3. Now I would probably take Brown or Hopkins, honestly.
At 3.
At 3. Okay. Well, the take's going to get hotter. That's the lukewarm part of my take. If I made up my mind and I said, you know what, I'm not going to get a difference-making running back when it comes back to me in the second round, so I should probably take a running back here. You know what running back I think I would take at 3 right now?
Alvin Kamara.
Nope, I will not take Kamara at 103.
Who?
Take a guess.
Hunt?
Nope. This guy has 1 year less of NFL experience than Kareem Hunt.
Oh, Barkley?
I think I would take Barkley. I think I would take him at 103. Right? If I was drafting tonight or tomorrow, I think I might take Barkley at 3. I think I like him better than Hunt. I like him better than Fournette, Cook. Who are the other guys? Johnson.
So you like a big Reggie Bush better than all those players?
Hold on, I gotta look at
the big Reggie Bush.
I think I like him better than Elliott too, even. Yeah, man, the Barkley is real for me right now, and I think that's who I would take at 103. Now I reserve the right to change my mind, and again, it probably wouldn't matter because I would. Now here's the thing. Let's say I'm picking at 5 and Brown and Hopkins go. I'm probably taking Barkley over Elliott there.
Hopkins is going at 3 or 4, probably, isn't he?
No, he's not usually. He's usually going at the 108. Although he has gone as high as the 103. So.
All right, well, good for you. Good luck.
Come back to that.
Best of
luck.
luck.
About that. Yeah. Well, I'm not drafting tomorrow. Although we should. Speaking of the Scott Fishbowl, Dave.
I'll take David Johnson against Saquon Barkley points.
You want to do that?
For 5? Sure.
All right. So Barkley versus
David Johnson.
David Johnson
with the cast-off Sam Bradford.
Yep.
Or rookie pile of crap Josh Rosen, who is a very brilliant young man.
I will take rookie pile of crap Saquon Barkley, and I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on that.
I got 5 on it.
Do you want to bet that we should? I would love to bet like 40-year bets. Like who has more money after 40 years, Josh Rosen or Saquon Barkley? Because I feel like Rosen's
no comment.
Worth
Moving
like
on.
$500 million.
The Scott Fishbowl.
No matter if his NFL career is good or not.
Right. Scott Fishbowl, none of our listeners probably care about. But you and I are both drafting.
I took David Johnson last year in that.
I did too. We both had number 1 overall picks, I think. This year I'm picking 5th.
I made it.
Maybe I'll take Barkley there. That kicks off on Monday morning.
Great.
So
we might start getting cheat sheets together.
We should make our obligatory.
Brad, by the way.
What?
Brad, I'm gonna have to get Brad cheat sheet.
Yeah. See if you did. Yeah, because that's not for public knowledge.
I know. Yeah. Cheat sheet. I'll get the sneaky player cheat sheet.
You won't be drafting against Brad Pinkstaff anywhere this year.
There's a couple. I'm going to be in contact with a few high-stakes players. I might have to.
For your Scott Fishbowl cheat sheet?
No, for something else. But I might have to hit them up for their cheat sheet. Because I just want to say cheat sheet again.
Scott Fishbowl starts up on Monday. We need to make our obligatory wager on that. So most Scott Fishbowl points this year. I got 5 on me.
I got 5 on myself.
I got 5 on it.
So that's 3 bets already, and we haven't even got to the news. I want to thank Football Guys, Roto World, Draft Sharks, and Rob for tonight's rundown. Jameis Winston. Oh, God, we're really leading off with this guy.
You mispronounced his first name.
Jameis Winston. No. I pronounced it right.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious.
Mark Sessler from NFL.com reported that Winston, if he gets into trouble again, basically, he could face, quote, more substantial discipline, including a potential ban from the NFL. A ban from the NFL. This is a statement released by the league.
By the way, can I just, real quick, we took Uber a few times in Disney.
Yeah.
Our drivers, they were grope-free by the end of the evening. Just lovely trips.
They didn't charge you to grope them?
I did not grope them.
They were groped for free?
I mean, I was with my wife and daughters, but I did not do any groping of my wife.
You are a tremendous human being for not groping Uber drivers.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
The Buccaneers
it's not that hard.
Already picked up Winston's
to not do that.
5th-year option, and he's under control through next year, but they will have to make a decision if they're going to sign him after that, because he's going to cost a lot of moolah. He is out for the first 3 games of this season. He's eligible to return against the Bears in Chicago in Week 4. Dave, 2-part question. Number 1, I know you don't own him in Dynasty. If you did, and somebody's like, I have the 305 in 2019, would you give up Winston for the 305?
I don't know. I mean, depends on the rest of the team. Maybe.
All right, so that's in the wheelhouse. This is the Uber question I want to ask you about this.
Interesting.
Is Winston even draftable in Football Guys drafts right now? Given the depth of quarterback this year, given how late you can get it.
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's,
undraftable.
19th, 20th.
Undraftable!
I think you can draft him in the 19th for 20th round. Why not?
I'm curious as to the latest he has gone.
He still has Mike Evans, by the way.
The latest he has gone in an FFPC Best Ball League is the end of the 15th round. So people are still drafting him. But man, play a mini would you rather? Jameis Winston or Dak Prescott?
What format?
Best ball.
All right.
I don't think it necessarily matters all that much.
Well, I'll take Winston.
I would take Prescott. Winston or Derek Carr?
Prescott's throwing to himself.
Extra points. That's double points.
I'll take eyeliner.
I agree. Winston or Mitchell Trubisky?
Winston.
I would take Trubisky, I think.
Come on.
Yeah, that's crazy, but I think I would. Okay, now we're getting into it. Winston or Blake Bortles?
I'll take Bortles.
I would take Winston.
Bortles, come on, baby.
Winston or...
By the way, he looks gooder.
Yeah, and they're going to open up the offense, blah, blah, blah. Winston or Eli Manning, who Brad Pinkstaff just pumped up.
Yeah, I know, he did. I'll take Winston.
I would take Manning. Winston or Case Keenum?
Winston.
I agree. Winston or Andy Dalton?
Winston.
I agree. Okay. Moving on. Cooper Kupp.
Dalton might do all right this year. Dalton's a super sleeper. He's like super cheap.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that cheapness. Cooper Kupp.
Like redheads, that's why.
It has nothing to do with that. Cooper Kupp, according to Gil Brandt of NFL.com, quote, gets open and catches everything.
By the way, I hope Rich Dunn is listening to this because I have a bet with him.
On Cooper Kupp versus Brandon Cooks, I believe, right?
Yeah, I was baited into it. Obviously, I think Cooks will outscore Kupp.
Really?
Yes, but I had a 2-round. He has a 2-round advantage in the ADP.
Yeah.
And I took him even up because he was too much of a pansy to go 3-2. So whatever, but I still took Kupp. But still go ahead.
Well, Gil Brandt thinks that Kupp could reach 90 catches.
So do I. So does Gerzak.
And Kupp was obviously a great performer as a rookie last year. He's quick, runs great routes.
Yep.
And favorite target of Jared Goff last year.
Also true.
You have Brandon Cooks added to the offense. Robert Woods obviously still there, Dave. But if I told you that you could get Cooper Kupp, a guy
would that be something you might be interested in?
Might catch 90 passes, and he's going at the 902 of FFPC Best Balls. I mean, my God.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
That's what I said.
Let me tell you my favorite turn in FFPC Best Balls right now. At the end of it's the 8-9 turn.
Woods Kupp.
Jamison Crowder, Cooper Kupp.
Oh, that's pretty solid.
That is really good. Especially if people in best balls like to go with the running back heavy approach early in drafts. So if you're picking at the end of the 8th, beginning of the 9th, that means you have the number 1 pick. That turn right there.
Sure.
So let's say you have Bell or Gurley, okay, and then when it comes,
did you say 8-9?
Yeah.
No, it'd be the 7-12-8-1. Wouldn't it?
No, I don't believe so.
101.
You wouldn't have the first pick in the even.
8-12. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
God, don't confuse me with math any more than I'm.
Someone mentioned the dreaded 3RR the other day because we were talking about Kentucky.
No comment. So you have. By
the way, Kentucky. Just to be
Dave,
clear,
just don't.
KFFC is the finest 3RR format in the country. That's all I have to say. I mean, all right, moving on.
Thank you. So you could end up starting your draft off, Dave, with like a Gurley or Bell, and then get Mixon, Freeman, and start off with those 3 stud running backs right away.
Well, I would not take Mixon or Freeman.
I'm saying you could.
Neither Mixon nor Freeman.
I'm saying you could.
Sure.
I like Mixon more than I like Freeman this year, that's for sure. I still don't know if I would take him there, but you could. And then even if you're ignoring receiver, you could still add, and I'm not advocating you ignore receiver to the end of the 8th round.
Sure.
But to get Crowder as your number 3 receiver there and Kupp as your 4.
Sometimes people even do it to that level.
In a best ball? Nom.
You know what? I'll go along with you a little.
Plenty to go around, Dave. Grab a slab of Crowder Kupp at the end of the 8th round, plunk it on your plate, put a little secret sauce on it. It is delicious. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported, quote, suspension Tuesday. Packers running back Aaron Jones suspended without pay for the first 2 games of the 2018 regular season for violating the NFL policy program for substances of abuse. So this means the...
Is Tuesday, is that like when records come out and suspensions
I don't know.
come out?
It did that day. I feel like Friday was a suspensions were always announced a lot on Fridays too.
Really?
In the past, yeah.
Okay.
Jamal Williams and Ty Montgomery will be the clear choices in the Packers backfield for those first 2 weeks. I don't know if we have any tangible advice here. Maybe Aaron Jones slips a little bit in drafts. It seems like everybody was sort of already on him as the Packers running back that they like the most. Jamal Williams, he's not a great, sexy name, but he did get a lot of touches last year. In fact, he got the most touches out of all 3 of these guys. And Ty Montgomery is still being disrespected by drafters, and the fact that he was going so late. Which, by the way, this is the other thing I was going to bring up.
He's also Alice approved. Ty Montgomery.
Okay. I will say this as well. When we talked about Deontay Foreman, and you said he is not worth a 10th round pick. Are you insane? Remember that a couple of weeks ago?
Sure, yeah.
He was going at the 10:01. He's going at the 11:05 since that broadcast.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have successfully knocked. I mean, it was also reported that Foreman may not be ready to go week 1 right around that same time. So that might have something to do with it.
I mean, it's just so. Anyway.
No, I get it. It's fine. Getting back to the Packers analysis here. Does the fact that Jones is missing the first 2 games, does that change anything for you as far as how you're treating these Packers running backs from a season-long perspective in drafts?
Not really. I mean, this actually just mucks it up even more, right? It makes
it gives an opportunity for Ty Montgomery and Jamal Williams to really establish their role.
I think Jamal Williams is a player that is more of a real running back, right? Montgomery is more of this third down back space guy. So I think so. I mean, Jones could just be behind the 8 ball if the Packers are doing well those first 2 games. I think you're right. I think Jones has to be put back a little bit because of that.
Ty Montgomery going at the 11:03, still in best balls. Jamal Williams has ascended to the 9:01, and Aaron Jones has he fallen at all? No, he hasn't. Still going at the 8:12, so he's still being drafted.
Well, good luck.
As the number 1. I mean, they're back-to-back essentially. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. That's been another stack. If you load up on receivers early, you want to take that Crowder Kupp turn at 8-9. You need your running back. You go Williams and Jones there. Get Ty Montgomery a little bit later. You have the Packers backfield, which should be an elite offense this year, locked up. And you're not spending higher than an 8th round pick to do it.
That's very true. Although you could end up with a bunch of guys getting 8 to 10 point games. By the way,
that's also true. Although I don't believe that these 3 guys are just going to stay healthy all season. You
bet on health.
No, I mean why would I? When none of these guys have. If you would have bet on any of their health last year, you would have lost.
Are you betting on unhealth? You're betting on lack of health?
I am betting on lack of health for the entire season for all 3 of these guys.
By the way, allow me to comment. We're here in the studio. Balky's wearing a very cool watch. Balky has about 100 different watches. Are you wearing it's a checkerboard leather strap. It's an Ed Hardy.
Ed Hardy, yeah.
That's a classic Ed Hardy watch.
My Los Angeles tattoo race watch.
It's pretty cool. I know it probably sells for like $40 on eBay, but it's actually, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, worn by Hell's Angels, by the way.
Yeah, I like it.
I made that up, but I'm glad you went along with it. ESPN's Mike Reese considers Rex Burkhead the early favorite to be the goal line running back for the Patriots this season. The quote from Reese, Burkhead filled that role at times last year, so he'd be more likely to get the initial nod over Michel, who had 12 fumbles in college, might need to prove himself from a ball security standpoint before the team gives him that responsibility. Burkhead was 4 of 7 on goal line carries.
Water is wet, by the way.
From inside the 5-yard line for scoring. Sony Michel, 215 pounds, scored
4 of 7 sucks.
16 times at Georgia last year. But we obviously would like to see him get goal line carries. I'm getting the feeling you feel that this is fake news about Burkhead here.
I feel like Mike Reese needs to write an article. He had a deadline.
It is a dead time of year.
He's like, sure, Mike, get something out there. Hey, how about this narrative? Burkhead, the veteran, is going to be the guy to beat, to be unseated by the young rookie.
So who is it? Is it Michel?
Who knows? I mean, probably. Eventually.
I would assume it'd be a hotter take if he would have said Michel was going to get goal line over Burkhead.
Yeah, it would be.
So why didn't he write that if he needed a narrative?
Because Mike is entrenched in his job.
Here's what
he's trying to just collect his what is he? He's making like $800 a week or whatever he's making over there.
Listen to me here. Mike Reese went with the Lee Sizemore narrative. To borrow a Westworld thing, he went with the Lee Sizemore narrative, and when he could have gone with the Robert Ford narrative.
Yeah, that's right.
And he didn't. He screwed that up.
He botched it. Nice try, Reese.
Your boy Juju Smith-Schuster expected to receive at least 100 targets, according to ESPN.com.
How many had last year?
I'm going to tell you. Hold on. I'm going to get to this because it was interesting.
It's not even that impressive.
Smith-Schuster really showed us something on the second half of 2017. Martavis Bryant is obviously gone, and there's not a ton behind Antonio Brown. I mean, they did draft James Washington, but he is a rookie. So, Dave, let me tell you this. To get 100 targets, if Juju Smith-Schuster plays all 16 games, that is an average of 6.25 targets per game. Okay?
Yeah, that's easy.
Last year, I honestly can't remember how many targets he got. I think he got 58 targets.
I thought you were about to say.
Last year, I think he got 58 targets. But,
he had that many catches.
Hold on. Did he really have that? Maybe that's wrong.
I'm just kidding. He had
if you look at the last 7, because remember, Smith-Schuster didn't really come on till the end of last season.
By the way,
can I just get this point up first? Do you remember? Smith-Schuster did not come on till the middle part of the season. Okay?
I remember, because I remember telling people to pick him up on waivers on week 7.
Perfect. So the last 7 weeks of the season, Smith-Schuster averaged 5.85 targets per game. So if he gets 100 this year, I mean, that's an uptick of an extra 0.4 targets a game. I mean, that's somewhat significant.
He had 58 catches for 917 yards on 79 targets, which, by the way, is an insane.
So he'd be getting 20 more targets.
Yeah, I mean, to catch 58 balls on 79 targets is actually, I'll use your regress to the mean thing because it's pretty high. You don't usually catch that many.
Well, you have the pinpoint accuracy of Big Ben Roethlisberger, Dave. That has a lot to do with it.
7 touchdowns. You know, the thing with him, he's such a great blocker. I mean, the fact that when he knocked, what's his name out?
Vontae's perfect.
Perfect. When he knocked him out, I mean, it just showed how great his blocking skills are. They're not taking Juju off the field because he's a fantastic blocker.
He's a total Steelers,
unbelievable,
total Steelers receiver.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you where he's going. Ballpark it. Where do you think? Where would be a good spot to draft Smith-Schuster in a best ball draft right now? Where would you be looking at him? He is going at the 412. Yeah. I thought it was kind of high, but maybe not. Can you guess how many receivers are going in front of him?
21.
I don't think it's that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So he's the 19th receiver off the board at 412.
I mean, he's kind of being drafted. I mean, I get what you're kind of going for. He's kind of getting drafted at, not his upside, but at like a little bit above his, you know what I mean? Like, they're giving him the bump, the sophomore bump, right?
Yes. Would you rather have Juju Smith-Schuster or Demaryius Thomas?
I'll take the upside of Juju, actually.
I think I would, too. Juju Smith-Schuster or Golden Tate?
Tate is boring.
He's boring, but he puts up big numbers every year.
Yep, I'll take Juju.
I would take Tate. Smith-Schuster or Jeffrey? Alshon Jeffrey?
I hate Jeffrey.
I know you do. Juju Smith-Schuster or Brandon Cooks?
I'll take Juju. I don't like Cooks that much.
I agree with you wholeheartedly there. All right, that's going to do it for Fantasy Flash. Let's get into Fantasy Feedback. Yikes! Let's fly through this. Time flies when you're making bets with Dave. Yeah, emails. Yeah, that's what I need. Here they are. Jesus.
Trying to have 9 pages worth of crap.
Bruce in Santa Clara, California. What are the chances that Kenny Golladay leapfrogs Marvin Jones as the Lions' number 2 receiver this season? Thanks, guys. Thank you, Bruce. 0.0%?
No, I mean like 1, 2%.
Let's put this in a tangible, actionable advice that we can give for...
Not that good.
I'm going to tell you, Marvin Jones is going at the 606 right now.
Yeah.
Kenny Golladay in best ball drafts, Dave, going all the way at 1403.
15, 16, okay.
Man, I Golden Tate, I think it was Golden Tate was just raving about the plays that he was making in OTAs this year. I believe the quote was freakishly freakish catches.
No, well,
or he looked like a freakish freak out there. I remember freak was used twice. Sophomore receiver, remember he got a lot of hype last year, and maybe unfairly so because he was a rookie. And
he had some good plays, and then he fell off. Didn't really do much after a while.
Marvin Jones really, he overperformed last year. I think there's going to be some regression there coming with all those touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think that there's something, again, I would obviously rather have Jones over Golladay, but to me, for the value, I'd much rather have Golladay than Jones. And you can make the case that maybe you could get Jones and Golladay in best ball drafts and just lock that up.
In best ball, you could do it. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm down with that strategy.
So the chances that Golladay leapfrogs him, I would say it's less than 5%.
Yeah, I
right now. It might be a little bit. I'll say less than 10%.
I think,
bet on the breakout a little bit.
If Marvin Jones tweaks a hammy or something, that could be the impetus to do it, right? But it's not. If they're both fully healthy, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Kevin in Foxborough, Mass. With all the new parts in Dallas this season, I think a Yaman or 9 is in order for the Cowboys. Well, Kevin, since you are
let me help you out.
Great guy.
Elliott is Yaman. All the rest are 9.
Really? Well, we don't even have to wheel out the machine.
I'm just kidding.
No, that's fine.
We'll find out.
That's fine. Let's approach it from that angle since we're low on time. You would not like Alan Hearns, Dave, if I said you could get him in the 12th round.
All right,
that's a 9?
I might like him.
Oh, all of a sudden the Yaman pipes in. If I told you could get Michael Gallup in the 16th round, that's a 9?
Still a 9.
Oh, come on! 16th round? Here's guys. Okay,
fine,
hold on.
Okay.
No, there's something here. Guys going after him. Chris Godwin's going after him. You'd probably rather have Godwin than Michael Gallup.
I don't know.
Okay,
I haven't thought about either one of them.
You don't like Deshaun Jackson, so by the transitive property would state that you would take Godwin in the 17th or 16th.
But Gallup could start.
So could Godwin.
I know. Plus, I like Godwin.
All right, Christian Kirk or Michael Gallup?
Kirk.
I would take Gallup there, actually. Michael Gallup or Mohamed Sanu?
Sanu sucks. Gallup.
Sanu
is like a
I would agree. Michael Gallup or Ted Ginn?
Come on, Gallup.
I don't know. Best ball?
I don't care about Ted Ginn.
Okay.
He's a.
I could go either way on that. I'll side with Gallup, but I think the fact that you wrote off Ted Ginn in the 16th round of the best ball so quickly is a mistake. Anthony Miller or Michael Gallup?
Gallup.
Yeah, I guess.
Whatever. Don't worry about my life.
All right, last one. Michael Gallup or Jordan Matthews?
That's actually.
Yeah.
You know what? I might take Matthews there.
You could take both given their ADP.
Yeah,
right now.
Matthews is way lower.
Not way lower, but he's probably a round and a half lower.
I might consider. Matthews seems super, super, super cheap.
Blake Jarwin, Dave, who was reported this week as running with the ones, in OTAs. Blake Jarwin in a tight end premium league is going at the 2507. Could start for the Cowboys. That's also a 9 for you.
Well, maybe I'll take him.
Okay, so now then we have 3 Yamans for Elliott, Hearns, and Blake Jarwin. I'm trying to think of who else. Okay, I got another one for you.
Rico Gathers.
No.
9.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. What about, if I can find him on here, Tavon Austin in the 18th?
As a running back, I'm going to Yaman all over that all day long.
So now we're up to 4 Yamans.
No, I'm starting with this Cowboys offense.
All right, hold on. I'm not done yet. Dak Prescott at the 1202.
9.
That one I can actually get behind.
Tavon Austin in the 18th round, I'm loving that.
Wasn't there a third running back that they had? Austin, Elliott, and was there another guy?
Alfred Morris. Is he still on?
Maybe it was Morris. I honestly can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. I think I know what you're going to say on this.
This is a long segment.
I know. I think I know what you're going to say on this, and
no one cares what I'm going to say.
Maybe I won't even do it. I'm not even going to do it. Screw it. We're moving on. Next email. Sorry, Kevin in Foxborough, Mass. I think we gave you more than what you deserved there. Dear Ant-Man and the Wasp, are you going to that movie this weekend, by the way? Your daughter's going to drag you to that?
No, I'm watching two awesome sports tomorrow. My buddy Leroy and I have bets on, we have $20 mutual bets shared on England at 18-1
nice.
World Cup, and France, who's already advanced.
Yeah, France is advanced, so is Belgium.
Yep.
And
Brazil's out, and that's what. By the way, England's playing Sweden tomorrow. If they lose to Sweden, Sweden sucks.
Yeah.
So we have our little pistol bets, and then we have the UFC tomorrow night.
I noticed
joining me
are we doing that for sure?
Yeah, you're coming over.
Okay.
Hanging out. We're all hanging
I'm probably going to have to come over early because of draft.
Yeah, draft it up. Yeah, you're commissioning. We're going to hang out.
Listen, I saw a stat today of the FIFA top 10 ranked soccer teams in the world. The only two that are left are England and France.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So that could really pay off.
I told Roy I wanted about 200 on each one, but we didn't have the funds in our illegal online account. This is actually mine.
Dear Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm trying FFPC best ball for the first time next week. Any advice on how many of each position I should end up with at draft's end?
Absolutely.
Love your pod. That is Chuck in Maple Shade, New Jersey. Okay, you have some thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, our buddy, Fantasy Mojo.
Darren Armani puts together Pros vs. Joes every year. Fantastic individual.
The win rate for kickers and defenses, if you have 6 combined, I think it was just 10% and change. By the way,
6 positions combined dedicated to those 2 positions.
Yeah, and if you're 1 and 12, it's 8.33%. If you have 7, it's like 11%.
Mm-hmm.
So you should have either 6 or 7 combined.
So you should have 3 kickers, 4 defenses, 4 kickers, 3 defenses.
At least 3 and 3. You must have 3.
Oh, you don't. I mean, but you don't want to overkill though.
What?
You know, you have like 6 and 6.
No, you have to have 3 and 3, but don't probably go too crazy beyond that.
Right.
Beyond 3 and 4 or 4 and 3.
I don't play in tight end premium best ball leagues because of my affiliation and employment with the FFPC.
Nor do I.
But if I did, Dave, I would be looking at 3 quarterbacks. I would be looking at 4 tight ends. I would be looking at 3 kickers, 3 defenses, and 7 running backs and 8 receivers as a soft template to follow.
That makes sense. I would actually probably look at 4 tight ends.
That's what I said.
I would probably try and get 4 defenses.
You said 4 tight ends. I would look at 4 tight ends.
Well, I mean, as well as on top of you said 3 and 3, I would probably still try and get. I'd probably try to get 4 defenses.
If you get 4 defenses, you're probably screwing 2 teams in your league.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. Because they're too dumb to do it.
Hi, Balky and Dizzle. Which running back would you draft first this season, Kenyon Drake or Rashad Penny? Thanks for the email. That is Wade in Detroit, Michigan. Rashad Penny or Kenyon Drake? The late season breakout of Kenyon Drake or the rookie unknown, Rashad Penny in Seattle?
It's an interesting question.
Running behind a quote-unquote offensive line in Seattle.
Well,
Kenyon Drake playing for a quote-unquote football team in Miami.
With a
quote-unquote front office.
Exactly.
Great minds.
Worst organization in football. Do you hate the Drake? Do you like the Drake?
Well, we don't have to answer that. What we have to answer is, do you like him or dislike him more or less than Rashad Penny?
Who's going to score more fantasy points? Ah, man, it's a really tough question.
Yeah, it
really is, actually,
well,
for different reasons.
We have the heavy-hitting questions on this show, Dave.
Man, I'll take, you know what, I'm going to take the Drake, because the uncertainty of Penny, and then you have Chris Carson, and then Seattle, there's that whole, and the division's tough.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Drake. I'm going to love the Drake.
I think I would. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I would take Rashad Penny over Kenyon Drake there. I'm going to go with the first-round pedigree. The fact that Seattle bought into Rashad Penny is soaking a first-round pick into him, giving him every shot. Kenyon Drake was, what, a third-round pick last year? I mean, that's not terrible.
A couple years ago. And he was a second-round pick.
Was he really? I did not think he was that high.
Let me just verify.
Are you looking it up? Because I'm not going to look.
I thought he was 45th overall pick.
If he's 45th overall, I mean, that's a solid.
I remember Steve Delaney crapping all over it and ranking him insanely low, like a total moron.
I don't think he does.
Insulting his draft position.
I don't think he does rankings. I think that was somebody else.
Well, yeah, you're right. It must have been someone else. No, I'm sorry, Waldman.
Matt Waldman? Yeah, did not like Kenyon Drake coming out of college.
Sorry, hey, Cecil, I apologize.
It's fine. Who, I'm sure he's listening. Who, did you look up the draft round for Kenyon Drake? This would have been in the
3rd round, 73rd pick overall.
So that was like solidly in the middle, smack dab in the middle of the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Regardless, I'm taking Rashad Penny.
I can argue that Matt Waldman ranked Drake lower than his actual draft position when ranking him in a fantasy perspective. He might have ranked him 74th amongst fantasy players when he was drafted 73rd amongst players.
Dave, I'd be shocked if that were the case.
Could be though.
Final email tonight. Bill and
Waldman has a great publication.
Yeah. Bill in Sedalia, Ohio. Can you compare your forecasts for Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Cooks this year? I will make your decision the tiebreaker between the two in my personal rankings. That is Bill in Sedalia.
Rob, you spelled Jeffrey wrong. It's Jeffrey, not Jeffrey.
Sure about that?
Pretty sure.
How sure are you that is misspelled on the show notes?
Pretty sure.
Really? Because I'd put 5 on it.
Oh my goodness! I'm really stupid.
Yeah. Well, listen.
Is it really Jeffrey?
Jeffrey. You and whatever. I don't want to get into it.
I'm blowing it tonight.
That's fine. Alshon Jeffrey.
I feel like they changed the spelling. Today.
We need to end this show. So give some analysis here. Jeffrey or Cooks, which, first of all, let's talk about their seasons. I think they're both 70-catch guys. I think they will both threaten 1,000 yards. I don't think Cooks gets there. I think Alshon Jeffrey has the better shot of getting there. And I would say Alshon Jeffrey, let's say 7 touchdowns and Cooks 5. So I like Jeffrey better.
I actually agree with you. Actually, I don't normally prefer Jeffries, as we like to call him.
Yeah.
But Cooks has competition, really. And Jeffrey signed that big contract. He is definitely the number 1 receiver at Philly. And they have 2 quality quarterbacks there. So regardless of what happens, I feel like Jeffrey's going to get his. And
we already know your affinity for Cooper Kupp in that Rams offense.
Got that right. By the way, I have 10 left at the 12:30 a.m. draft.
Oh my gosh, am I signed up for that?
Someone is.
I think that is going to be mine. Thanks for filling the midnight, everybody. Appreciate that. And that is going to do it for our show this week, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Brad Pinkstaff, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and of course all of you. Housekeeping announcement: no show next Friday. Why? Because we're doing a show on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, 10/9 Central will be our show. Dave and I both have prior engagements on Friday, so I apologize. We will not be doing a show then, but we will be doing one for you on Wednesday night. And I know I teased it last week. Tino Moss is actually going to be on the show this week. He is a 5-time Football Guys and main event champ, and will be drafting in the FFPC Pros versus Joes competition. That is coming up next Wednesday, 10/9 Central. We made 3 wagers tonight. I don't think that's a record. I know we've made at least 3 before. We may have made 4 before. We had the opportunity for a lot of them tonight.
Yeah, we did.
With the Penny and the Drake thing, the Jameis Winston thing, and I honestly, when I was looking at it, I'm like, my God, we could make like 8, but I was like,
you want to do one more?
No, because I was trying.
Drake Penny?
No, see, that's the one I was thinking. I was
Let's
like,
do it.
I don't feel confident in
Post-show wager.
how would we make that wager when both you and I, when we were trying to answer this question, spent the first 30 seconds, oh, that's really close. Oh, that's so close. Oh, I don't know which way. And then we're going to put 5 on that?
Yes.
All right, I got 5 on Rashad Penny.
All right. You lured me into that one. I'll take 5 on
I got 5 on it.
Love the Drake.
Sucker!
You're such a knob. Whatever, Balky.
The Wisconsin State Fair only happens once a year, and we hear you have vacation to burn. Bring your family, maybe some friends. Take a day off from the diet while you're at it. After all, cream puffs only come around once a year. Don't waste those vacation days pining away at your computer sending one last email. Put the out of office on and get out to the State Fair. The only downside? Deciding what to do first. Make your day wonder fair at the Wisconsin State Fair, presented by U.S. Cellular, August 2nd through the 12th.